Jadzia Dax releases Julian Bashir's tension with her hands. Joseph Sisko used to make his family test new recipes. And Ibadan likes back smoochies. Well, at least his clone does. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with CIRROC LOFTON.
Oh, gosh. Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Huss. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 1 episode, A Man Alone, story by Gerald Sanford and Michael Piller, teleplay by Michael Piller, directed by Paul Lynch. This is January 17th, 1993. Where were you? It's a Nog episode, everybody. Finally, Melissa Longo has returned to the Seventh Rule.
Woohoo! Yay! And I'm wearing the best friends.
Love it.
Special for this episode.
Everybody, you can find that shirt in the link in the description box below, the Star Trek and Chill Spotify link. So go get your Jake and Nog, Stembolt and Chill. Thanks for wearing that, Melissa. That's so cool. Also, a little later on, stick around. We've got actor, stuntman, and stunt coordinator extraordinaire legend who has actually broke world records in the past, Mr. Dennis Matalone, a little later. So stick around for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. So Jadzia Dax likes to release Julian Bashir's tension with her hands.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Julian was not in the way Julian was hoping.
My word.
Cold hands, warm heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you guys notice how Jadzia was totally different than how we remember her in the first few episodes?
Mm-hmm.
The way they envisioned her character was this wise, sage, almost ethereal type, you know, where she's meditating and she's listening to people's footsteps. That changed dramatically. And I think they mentioned it before when they realized that they're just like, she's just too young and fun and friendly. That's more her type, the fun type more so than the wise contemplative type. But I'd forgotten that until I see this episode. It's like, wow, what a dramatic difference.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking that too. It's like, oh, so they're still figuring Jadzia out. They haven't figured her out yet. Or Terry Farrell figuring out who she is as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, also how Sisko and Dax are going to interact with each other, that really hasn't been fully established yet. He's the whole old man stuff is just now kind of being flushed out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing how that kind of plays out too as well. I thought it was interesting that Dax is in the opening shot of this is in a yoga position. And I think that it's interesting that Terry Farrell is into yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually one of the things that I think she was doing yoga on the cruise, as a matter of fact. She had a yoga kind of session on the cruise. So I thought it was pretty cool how, your character and you somehow find ways to have similar interests. And in this case, yoga was the right call for Dax.
That's really interesting. Everybody in the comments below, let us know a Star Trek character that has the same talent or skills or passions that the actor does. Like, for example, Riker and his trombone. Jonathan Frakes plays the trombone, things like that. We know that Patrick Stewart does not have a passion for flute playing, as evidenced in not in The Inner Light when he's playing. It's not the most believable thing, but anyway, that's a fun one.
Nog and Aaron had a passion for playing practical jokes on people, evidenced in this episode with the Granny and Bull lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just change people color.
Why did they all just say, "Oh, you can still go see the doctor after you had like a full freak out episode. But when it went away, they were like embarrassed. You know what I was picturing when they were doing that? I was like, I wish I could have seen the auditions. Like they're like, okay, go, okay, and action. I think, we've all had to do these weird auditions where like, you're just, sometimes it's usually a lot of times for like commercials where you don't even really have many lines or any lines at all. You're doing something weird, or you're itchy, and then you got the director going, okay, now you're turning colors. Okay, now itch each other, and you're trying to, you're like, am I doing this right? I don't know.
What is going on?
Yeah.
I don't understand the world right now.
I also thought it was kind of strange when it's like, somebody call the doctor. I'm like, just beam yourself to the infirmary or something. Like,
right?
Walk there.
Or just walk down. It's right down the hall. I swear. You can check yourself in. There's no appointments needed. You'll be fine.
And I had watched the 7th rule review of this episode review with Aaron, and I have to agree with Aaron. There was no evidence for Odo to accuse Jake and Nog of doing it, even though they did do it. But how does he know that they did it? There's no evidence.
Well, we didn't actually
we were
see
just
them
enjoying it too much.
We didn't actually see them place them there. This could be circumstantial.
Right.
It's all circumstantial.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah. I think it was Quark.
Oh, Quark.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, first of all, us being up to no good definitely was Nog's idea. So we're going to go ahead and give him the instigating award for starting this little, what is it? Granian Bull Lights?
Yeah, Granium something or other.
Something. Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought that was fun, and it was just great to see the kind of interactions. I like the scenes with Cisco and Jake, where he's like, I don't want you hanging out with that guy. And just the whole friendship, like, well, there's nobody else here my age, type of thing. It's like, that's the guy I'm supposed to be hanging with. The first scene when they show Jake and Nog, he tells him, why don't you talk to somebody else? And he's like, there's not exactly a lot of kids around here to choose from. It's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Jake says hi first, though. He comes up and says hi. So he initiates the friendship with the breaking the ice, like, hey, who is this kid eating this jom stick, or what is it called?
Jamja stick.
Jamja stick, yeah. Let me roll up on him eating his jamja stick. So that was funny, and it was fun to watch the whole beginning of their relationship, beginning of their friendship.
Yeah, there are a lot of. It just felt like most of the characters were very different than how we remember them generally. I mean, we know that. Like, for example, even Quark, who really had his character pretty fleshed out from the very beginning, that, we can tell that he already knows his character, Armin Shimmerman does. But even him, I noticed a difference in his voice, in the way he kind of delivered things like this. He was still hanging on to a little bit of TNG Ferengi, or maybe the directors or producers were. They're like, no, you got to make him seem, a little stranger. Odo's voice was very different. It was higher pitched and tinier, to the point where if I wasn't watching, if I was typing something, I was like, who's talking right now? And I'd look up, I'm like, that's Odo? It doesn't. Later on, he talks a little more low and gruff. And this time he was talking kind of more up here. And it was just a little different. Same thing with Rom. Rom had a major difference, but I mean, that's full scale difference because of the way he was originally intended, and then they adjusted him. But Everybody was very different. Molly was she was just
my gosh, she was so cute.
Molly was Molly.
Yeah.
And Keiko was Keiko.
True. She didn't change.
She didn't change. O'Brien is pretty much himself. He doesn't change much.
Yep.
But I did notice the same changes in Rom's voice and his delivery as how he wants to present Rom. He was more assured of himself. He looked more confident than kind of the bumbling guy that he ended up becoming a little bit later on. This version of him seemed more confident. And the accent, the way he plays it was different. Little accents that he puts on words, where he's like, "This all like brother." He didn't have so much of that yet in this performance of Rom. But I want to say that. Oh, go ahead.
No, they did establish him being an idiot, though. An idiot.
Right.
From Odo's line, well, Rom's an idiot, so he doesn't know how to fix anything.
And Melissa, do you agree that he's an idiot?
No, he's not. He's not an idiot, but he plays it more like an idiot later on as the season goes on. The other thing that I would say when it came to Odo's voice, I noticed the same thing, but I also felt like that it was done in post-production. And that's where the note that I put down was that the ADR work was kind of terrible because it did not match the tone. So I believe that
scene? In Ops?
Yeah, so the scene in Ops where it was Kira and Odo walking around in Ops, the sound was terrible. And and it was noticeably bad. And that's where I feel like some of the voices of Odo that didn't match, because when it was close-ups, the ADR was appropriate. So Odo's voice was more like Odo in the close-up scenes that were not using the ADR work. So usually the ADR comes when they're doing a walk and talk scene inside of Ops, for example, which is what this Kira and Odo scene started off. It was a walk and talk scene inside of Ops. And when you have a walk and talk scene like that, sometimes the sound boom can't get in close enough to be able to get a good sound because they're using a long kind of microphone boom. And if it's too far away inside of Ops, they will not be able to get the sound perfect. When it's a close-up, they can easily bring the microphone right above this frame of the shot. And so it's right there. But when it's a long, wider kind of establishing master shot, it's more difficult. And so in the ADR work, when Renee was talking in the large shot in the master, that was done in ADR, and that's why the voice did not match his usual voice.
Totally. I usually notice ADR the most when, the notorious when people are outside. When they're shooting outside, very seldomly are you going to get great sound outside, because you just can't control the elements, especially if you see in the background behind them trees waving around, that's ADR. There's no chance that that's not going to be ADR because there's wind, there's all these things happening. But yeah, that's a great point about the walk and talk and about the establishing shots, the big wide things. Because otherwise you're going to see the boom hanging down. Which we see a lot sometimes. They go up, cut, boom and frame, boom. See the boom.
Oh
yeah. I used to see those guys, and that was a talent in itself to be able to hold that boom.
Oh my god!
Like,
do you ever wonder how they're able to do that for like forever? And they look like they're kind of fine, and I'm like, that doesn't look comfortable.
No,
it does not, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's actually taxing on your body.
I bet.
So yeah, that's why I noticed that the voices didn't match. For both of them, the scenes that I thought stood out the most as mismatching for Odo's voice were both done in ADR.
You know, and on that subject, you know who else noticed audio issues in this episode? Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. So everybody do yourself a favor and go back to our original review of this. I believe that would be T7R episode 19. Let me just confirm that real quick. Yeah, T7R episode 19. And Aaron Eisenberg talks about the audio issues in that review. If you want to skip ahead to it, it's right around the 1838 mark, as noted by Melissa Longo. And Aaron will be a part of this conversation quite a bit later on in our free-for-all. We'll be bringing up old clips of him talking about this episode and getting some conversation going from there, because he always made so many great and amazing observations. We're going to take a super quick break. Everybody stick around. We've got another segment after this. And then we've got Mr. Dennis Matalone, stunt coordinator extraordinaire. And then we'll have the free-for-all with Aaron Eisenberg clips. So much great stuff. Stick around on this deep dive. We'll be right back on The Seventh Rule.